First recollections of school were standing outside of the school with a stick and poking the stick into the cow pads and flicking it at the children inside. That's my first recollection of school, and my next recollection of school was being in school. Obviously somebody had said, you know, this child is naughty, he should be in school. I was about 3 3/4 then. And then my first recollection of school was some incident in the boys' toilet where there was water all over the floor, and obviously somebody put soap in the overflow and switched the taps on. And the then headmaster, Mr. Yorwerth Roberts, blamed me, and I was having a telling off, and I don't know why I ended up in a bit of a brawl. And all I remember is having a hell of a lecture, well, more than a lecture, a good hiding off my mum a few days later for being naughty in school. And he said, and I thought, oh God, I'm going to get it here, because he took a stick with him. And he whispered in my ear, just shout, he said. And he said, shout and he whacked the wall as hard as he can. I squealed, and everybody inside thought that I'd had the cane, and I came back in and pretended I'd been whacked. That was his way of law and order. I didn't see him do that to anyone else. But he took me into the cloakroom, you know, the little cloakroom, and I could see, I don't know if it was a rule or whatever, and he said, I'm going to hit the wall. Just shout when it hits the wall. And also one of the school trips. Yeah, we must have had a shared school trip with Llantysilio, one of them. Or that was a Sunday school trip. One of my first cousin nearly got run over. Never forget that. She shot across the road, just typical blooming country kids. She shot across the main road, and the car went zigzag round. Things like that you remember. And the polar bears are always in an enclosure, the big high walls looking. And my cousin Janice dropped her handbag into the bear enclosure. Huge panic. And the bear opened it and started pulling it to bits. Oh, it was fantastic as a spectacle. Yes, look, I've just remembered that now. Oh yes, well, the bear was inquisitive, wanted to know what was inside. So she didn't have a handbag back. She was distressed, and we all had to give her a few pennies or whatever to make it, because her money was in it, wasn't it? I don't know why I went early, but I went early, and I went in, and there was this funny object, a new desk. So I just started touching it, and the whole thing sort of fell apart. And it didn't say anything anyway. But when the teacher came, I was had the row for it, and I decided, well, enough's enough. So I just went in playtime. I just nipped over the wall and ran home. And my next memories were of being up a tree, quite high, because I could climb the trees quite well. My mother and Mr. Ellis, the headmaster, underneath, trying to coax me down. And this took a long time, but I did eventually come down. But I can't remember if I went back to school or went home. But I didn't break that desk, and it was, of course, Robert Watkins' desk, as I remember now. And he had a desk of his own because there was no desk for him, because the school was full. So his father and mother must have purchased a desk for him. And he's actually been one of my best friends ever since then. And still is.